So, which of the 23 MCU superhero movies tops the list according to fans and critics? Stay tuned to find out.
Anachronic.
Hi comic book guys and gals, I'm Joe and welcome to Anachronic Comics. Now the pandemic really put a crimp in our superhero movie watching. Wonder Woman 84, completed long ago, ultimately released on HBO Max, and whatever theaters were available did okay. The release of the Black Widow movie has been postponed so many times I've lost count. I understand we're looking right now at a July 9th, 2021 release date. Zack Snyder's Justice League's uniformly positive reviews, as well as the excitement of new Spider-Man and Doctor Strange movies on the horizon, has me rewatching a bunch of DC and MCU movies and looking at how both critics and fans felt about those movies when they came out. Now, using a secret formulaic equation only I know, I came up with a method to show how each movie related to the others. I did this for DC, and now I'm doing it for the MCU. Note, this is a ranking for the 23 movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe to date, and does not include other Marvel superhero movies such as the ones from Sony Pictures. That'll come later. As a reminder, here are the 5 Anachronic Comics movie watching categories. Under 50 points, watch at your own risk. 51 to 69, watch it if you're a Marvel fan. 70 to 79, watch it when you have time. 80 to 89, find time to watch it. And over 90, you should have watched it already. All of the MCU movies, except for one, scored at least in the 70s, and that one was really close. So practically speaking, you need to watch all these MCU movies if you really are a Marvel fan. Now I have to say that the MCU rankings really surprised me. Many of the movies had scores that were very close, and my guess for number 1 didn't pan out. Let's see where your favorite movies stand. Now, just like I did for DC, I gave the number 1 MCU movie 100 points, and each movie below gets a relative number under 100. Let's start. Number 23 is 2019's Captain Marvel with 69.5 points. Now I have to say I had high expectations with this movie, but having watched it twice, I'm still not sure what was going on. Next we have a big jump, a Hulkian jump, with 78.2 points. At number 22 is The Incredible Hulk. Now, Ed Norton was routinely panned for his role as Bruce Banner, resulting in him being replaced in subsequent MCU movies by Mark Ruffalo. 2013's Thor: The Dark World comes in at number 21 with 78.7 points. Now, this wasn't a great movie, but it was a good movie with some humor and lots of action. At number 20, we have Iron Man 2 with 79 points. Now, critics seem to like it a bit better than the fans. I remember being disappointed when comparing it with the first Iron Man movie. Number 19 is Thor. With 82.7 points, it was the first movie starring the Asgardian god. Now, I liked this 2011 movie. It set the stage for the humor and action scenes of the subsequent movies. And number 18 is 2011's Captain America: The First Avenger. I absolutely loved this movie, and I thought it would do better than 84.7 points. I remember watching it with my daughter, and both of us feeling that it was much more than a good superhero movie. It was a good movie, period. Critics also loved it, more so than the fans. Next in our ranking is 2013's Iron Man 3. I liked this movie, and it got generally good reviews from the fans and critics alike, and scores an 85.5 and comes in at number 17. Tied in the number 15 and 16 slot, both scoring 88 points, are 2015's Avengers: Age of Ultron and 2018's Ant-Man and the Wasp. Fans absolutely loved Avengers Age of Ultron. It also got positive marks from the critics. It was the reverse for Ant-Man and the Wasp. Critics gave it very high marks, while fans liked it, but not as much. I have to say, if I had to pick between the two, I probably would go see Ant-Man and the Wasp. The top 14 MCU movies all scored 90 or more relative points. So hopefully, according to the Anachronic Comics Movie Watch categories, you already have seen them. If not, I won't tell. But you better get going. There are spies among us. Number 14 with 90.7 points is Ant-Man. This 2015 movie was a big hit with both critics and the fans, getting high grades from both. It was not a grand movie like Ant-Man and the Wasp, but Paul Rudd carried the movie with an excellent performance. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 comes in at 13th place with a score of 92.7. This 2017 movie started out super strong, but lost some steam as it went along in my view. Both critics and fans gave it high ratings, but I just thought it didn't live up to the original. In 12th place is 2016's Doctor Strange with a score of 94. This was one of the best origin movies in either the MCU or the DCEU. I read Doctor Strange in the 1960s and still have some of those comics, but watching this movie in IMAX 3D gave me a new understanding of the world he lives in. It was epic. Critics and fans both loved the movie, and critics were a bit more favorable. Now, number 11 was a surprise for me, in that I thought it might score higher. 2018's Avengers Infinity War scored a solid 95 points. It had high scores with the fans, and although it got high scores from the critics, those scores were not as high as for some of the other movies on the list. Now for the top 10. At number 10 is 2017's Spider-Man Homecoming with 96 points. This effectively being a Spidey reboot for the MCU, it was extremely well done and did its job, which was to officially set a Spider-Man movie into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Critics were wild about this movie, as were the fans. Number 9 is 2017's Thor Ragnarok. It scored a 96.5. I love this movie, as did my grandnephew. Check out my interview with him. The link is in the endnotes in the description. It got high marks all around. Now, who didn't love Thor applauding Hulk's appearance, only to be smashed? One reviewer hit the bullseye, stating that this movie is, quote, exciting, funny, and above all, fun. At number 6, I have a three-way tie. Each movie scored 96.7 points, and they are 2012's Marvel The Avengers, 2016's Captain America Civil War, and 2018's Black Panther. All these movies were terrific and got high scores from both fans and critics. Now, Black Panther was my guess for number 1. The critics gave Black Panther the highest point score of all 23 MCU movies. The fans loved it as well, but not as much as some of the other movies. So the fan score definitely cost it the number 1 spot. The following top 5 movies all scored within 3 points of each other, so any one of them really could be considered number 1. Number 5, with 97.2 points, is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. This 2014 film is one of the best MCU ensemble movies in my view, and got extremely high critic and fan scores. What I like most about it is that although it's character-based, it has terrific action and in some ways feels like a comic book come to life. With 98.5 points at number 4, we have 2019's Spider-Man: Far From Home. Who didn't like this movie? It has the highest fan score of all the MCU movies to date and did not disappoint the critics. Definitely better than the first, which is not something you can say for many sequels. At number 2, we have another tie. 2 movies each scoring 99.2 points, which means that both movies were just eked out by our number 1 movie. The first is 2014's Guardians of the Galaxy. This movie was super, but coming in this high really surprised me. Both critics and fans loved this movie. It tied with Captain America the Winter Soldier for the second highest fan score of all 23 movies. As a critic put it, it was funny, thrilling, and full of heart. The second is Avengers Endgame from 2019. Excitement, emotional, and entertaining. It was a great ending to the Infinity Saga. I would have put this at number 2, so I got this one right. Finally, at number 1 with the 100-point score is, you guessed it, Iron Man. This 2008 movie made comic book movie doubters take notice, and with a load of movies scheduled to come out over the next 3 years, this craze isn't going away anytime soon. The movie just got better and better as it went along. It was the start of the MCU. First at bat, it hit a home run. I definitely would have put this in the top 5, and I can see this as the number 1 movie, primarily because of Robert Downey Jr.
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
So there it is, comic book guys and gals, all 23 MCU movies so far, based on critic and fan reactions. I will be looking at the other Marvel movies soon, and maybe do a video inserting them in the MCU list. Where would Deadpool be in this list? Stay tuned. So the question of the day is, do you agree with Iron Man as being number 1? If not, which movie do you believe should be number 1? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share the video with your friends. Be well, and I'll see you soon.